My AI fear, the AI fear that I have encountered is that in the short space that we are getting acquainted with AI, in the short time that we've been introduced to AI, somebody lost their life as a teenager lost his life because he was talking to AI and he built such a bond with it to the point that the AI advised him to just neck himself. There's ladies that are engaging with AI in a way that more like in a relationship sense. There's people who are so dependent on AI in terms of advice. There's people who have genuine what they term relationships with AI, Alexa, Google, whatever. I'll use them things, but initially there was some videos. I remember there was those monkey videos depicting black women in a bad way, and people was like, "Man, that's crazy." I think that there's a lot of videos, especially even in the porn space, because you can get AI to do anything. A woman, or yes, of course, as far as the porn industry, people have done the most grotesque things without shame. But with AI, you can remove the woman and the man out of the picture. You don't have to pay anybody, and you can do the anything. I stumbled upon a video that looked so real to me. It was funny, and then somebody made a point that it was AI, and that's the fear component that I have because if AI is getting to a point where it's so real and people are expressing genuine emotion towards it, asking it for advice, falling in love with AI, busting a nuts to AI. AI is writing you the love songs. AI is advising you how to parent somebody. There are certain content creators on this platform that we own that produce good content. But I can imagine that some of that content is not in favor of those that own this platform. You feel me? Certain individuals, of course, this platform thrives on creators creating content. Okay. But those that run this platform, they understand that they can just boot you off. They've already done so with some people. When your truth is too strong, when you're privy to what's going on behind the curtain, those that run the platform don't like you. Now we've heard rumors. I'm stepping into conspiracy realms now about the concept of cloning and everything else. We've heard that, but that's a lot hard work. You hear about, oh, this person died, now that person's a clone. I've heard this. I've heard these rumors back in the day. Remember the first clone was in the 80s, Dolly the sheep. But I believe that things been going on for a long time. But the point I'm trying to make is we've heard rumors about people being cloned. I don't know if you have stumbled upon it, but that's not the point. It's neither here nor there. By way of AI, I could literally, let's say I was putting forth a message to the people that's awakening the people to a certain truth. Now, if the one who runs the platform sees that people gravitate towards my content and another brother or another sister's content that are putting out people on game about life, living a certain way, eating in a certain way, you could get an AI image of that person. You create an AI. You just study the pattern. The AI studies the way I move, the way I do what I do, and then get rid of me. And anybody that's against the establishment, because there's certain people on YouTube that their message is too strong. For the majority, them TikTok videos about cats and dogs and shaking booty, they like those. It gets people numb, no critical thinking, nothing. No righteous path, nothing. No moral compass, especially those panels where women are arguing with men, a whole bunch of noise back and forth. They like those. But there are certain people that will bring the truth. Now, if you just all of a sudden got rid of that, because it's like church. You go to the club, you go sweat and shake your butt. People don't go to clubs to shake the, They don't dance no more. It's just sections now. But you do all that, but you still want to go to church. So those people that do a good word on YouTube, this platform, they're like church. I'm not a church person. I believe in the Most High. I believe in the scriptures. But that's the example I'm giving. Everybody loves Jesus. They love God. Okay? So they have to put this idea of God still there. So on YouTube, those people that produce that kind of content that's enlightening people, open people's eyes, they can't just get rid of that. They can't just leave this degenerate stuff out there. People gonna be like, hold on, why is my feed always just twerk videos or whatever content creators are, or just about nothing, just feeding the flesh. They gotta leave that. So what I would do if I was an evil overlord, right, is get rid of the people that are doing that by get the AI to replace them. And it's gonna produce content that sounds like me, but now it's gonna move differently. That's my fear of AI. Let's call it conscious. I don't like the word conscious because it's like conscious music, whatever. But let's call it conscious for a second. The same reason when people do all kinds of crazy stuff during the week, they're like, oh, I didn't go to church. Father, forgive me. I've done all these crazy things. They want to be seen as holy. They don't want to be seen as bad, but you can't get rid of the church. Kind of like the black church. Somebody driving crazy. Kind of like the black church. A lot of people go to church, but nobody be holy. Maybe one or two people out of 1,000 be holy. We all be in the church. I grew up in the church, but people doing witchcraft over there. They're doing voodoo. They're doing prostitution. Pastors be pimping, stealing, and everything else. The church is needed. If you get rid of the church, the immorality feels too strong after that. I want to be immoral, but I need to feel like I can still go to church. Church still needs to be available to me. At least I can look over there. That's church over there. That's how people use church, like a Band-Aid. So a lot of the content that's wise, the powers that be, they may not like it. So how do you overcome that? Or if AI becomes so real, is people are busting the nut to AI and they can't tell the difference. It's funny little YouTube videos, people liking them, and they can't tell. In the comment section, they've done tests to see people can't tell the difference. Maybe they put a few ones where you can tell the difference. People be bragging, I knew it was AI, I knew it was that. But the ones you can't tell the difference, nobody tells you that. So they'd be like, okay, that brother over there, he telling too much truth. Put an AI on me, study the way I move, study the way I talk, and bring a message that sounds like my message. But tweak it. So you still feel like, like that church scenario I just gave you. So I believe, because there's a cleanse on YouTube. I look at content that I used to watch that was enlightening. It's no longer there. So I think those people that lean towards the truth coming from YouTube, even my voice, So you got to take good information and action it and leave the truth out for yourself. Kind of like the scriptures. That's why people that do church, I think it's foolish. You're supposed to read the Bible by yourself and go do it out there. Nobody care about your title, Christian, whatever you want to call yourself. Just go ahead and do it. I ain't care about your title. So I believe that AI going to replace a lot of us who are not moving according to the stream of information. See, the stream of information, if you notice, the things that are toxic, the things that are wicked, the things that are evil, that's what's trending. A girl that just turned 18 last time, she was online by the time she got online on OnlyFans, she already made $1 million. She never worked a day in her life. Anything toxic, people fighting, people want to be a part of that. People doing all kinds of, people cheating, divorce courts, that stuff is trending. Wholesome videos. Girls be like, yeah, I can do better by myself. I want to be single by choice. I'm going to just sleep around anyhow. That's trending. Brothers be pimping and pimping a pimp game. Alpha male, sleep with as many ladies you want to sleep with. That's trending. Wholesome truths. So if you want to make the place more degenerate and less truth, you can replace all the people that trouble you so you don't got to pay them. Get the AI to replace them. Replace them with AI. So the individual still gets their feel. Oh, that brother, masculine poster over there, he's still talking. But it ain't me no more. That's why I don't lean on this platform. Like, the Most High has blessed me with a voice to speak. And I'm speaking right now. But trust and believe, if AI getting so real, all the individuals they shed light, kind of like the brother Kevin Samuels. The brother Kevin Samuels was shedding a lot of light. He's one of the only one that I know online who was just telling it like it is. And what did they do? They hated on him. What happened shortly after? The man was gone. So everybody who's compliant, you're gonna have a platform. You playing ball. That's the way it works. Every single person that's within the sphere of how they want things to run, it's gonna run. But anybody gonna rub the system the wrong way. Well, if we get rid of you, it's gonna look bad because people still need a flavor of you because you're kind of part of the fabric of this platform. So we can just replace you with the message. I know it sounds far fetched, but I just have to put it out there. That's why people need to vet everybody who's talking to them and take the information, be a student, and get out there and action the information. 2026 has got to be about action. It don't matter how many people you're following. I don't care. Matter of fact, I'm not concerned. Subscribe, go ahead so the message goes further. But that's not my primary thing. My primary thing is to bring a real word. And I believe that what's going to happen to a lot of content creators. I, I talked about the whole cloning thing, whether you get rid of the real person and bring in the fake person was under the whole thing. Now you could be like, oh, that's crazy and far fetched. Okay, fine, call me crazy. But the AI thing, remember the Will Smith thing, him eating noodles? Did that not look like Will Smith? You can implicate anybody. So you can just run a whole channel based on you, but it's not you no more. Because in somebody's backyard. So AI is definitely because a lot of people when they find something like a crocodile, chewing on a hippo and they see it's AI, nobody like that. People like watching people do the impossible. That's why we like the Olympics. People are doing the things that I know I can't do, doing the impossible stuff. She's, backflips. What's his name? Simone Biles. Boxing. But if it's like a man versus gorilla and the man's punching the crap out of a gorilla and it's AI, people don't feel the same way about that. The joke is not the same or the scene is not the same if it's AI. So, but it's gonna get to a point where you can't tell the difference. Just make it very real. Because a lot of people are creating AI things, they're trying to sell it as real when it's not real. Like, cats be doing, be dancing and break dancing and things like that. But content creators being replaced by AI to the point that you don't know. You just send an AI to study characters like the way what's his name was doing, Kevin Samuels was doing. Somebody find each one to get the AI to learn the mannerisms of behavior, and people be like, okay, kind of like a church analogy I gave you. People still would need to see the church. They don't like God. They don't like the Most High. No, but if you remove that, they're gonna feel really dirty and bad. So they need that, like sprinkles of that religiosity. Religiosity needs to be sprinkled in there. We are in a generation people don't love the Most High for real. Nobody want to do what the scriptures teach. And look, I don't care where you stand with that. If you're like, okay, God, I don't believe in that. It's a shame. Well, cool. Let each person do their own thing. But you know that they keep it there. That's how they conquered Africa because you needed a religion to conquer that. The religion is part of it, so they can't remove it. So it's the same thing with conscious creators, who people like what's his name, Media Man. They gonna study his platform, see how he do what he do. I'm not saying that's gonna happen, y'all forbid. I'm just saying, my man, Media Man. Shout out to Media Man. He always put some stats. I like the way he do what he do. But do you think an AI could do what Media Man do? Do you think they can't do that? Because maybe what it's doing is not swimming with the stream. So now the people following, they're like, hey, it's still the same man. I still like what they do. But it's changed now. You don't know. I fear AI because I believe that some of these content creators, I say enough. Peace, love, and blessings.